Imagine a cold, wind-swept island off the coast of Scotland, where the earth is said to be thin enough for the spirit world to bleed through. Here, in the winter of 1929, local searchers stumbled upon a scene that would baffle investigators for nearly a century. Lying on a desolate hillside, beneath a darkening sky, was the lifeless body of a woman. She was draped in a heavy black cloak, clutching a silver dagger, her body resting directly atop a large cross carved meticulously into the frozen earth. The local police officially closed the case as a tragic death from exposure, a simple casualty of the harsh Scottish elements. Yet, the disturbing details left behind at the scene, coupled with the victim's frantic final days, pointed towards something far more sinister. This was not a mere accident. It was a deeply unsettling puzzle that defied rational explanation from the very beginning. To understand this mystery, we must travel back to the remote, mystical island of Iona. For centuries, Iona has been regarded as a sacred place, a cradle of Christianity steeped in ancient folklore and Druidic history. It is a land of whispers, where the wind seems to carry the voices of the past across barren rocks and empty beaches. In the late summer of 1929, an unusual visitor arrived on this isolated shore, seeking solitary peace. Her name was Nora Emily Fornario, known to her friends and associates simply as Netta. Netta was a 43-year-old woman of deep intelligence, artistic sensibilities, and a profound obsession with the occult. She was not a casual hobbyist. She was a high-ranking member of the Alpha Et Omega Temple, an offshoot of the famous Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. This secret society practiced ceremonial magic, alchemy, and astral projection, drawing members from the highest echelons of British society. Netta had come to Iona to conduct deep esoteric research, hoping to connect with the island's ancient elemental spirits. To the local crofters, she appeared as a strange but harmless eccentric, wandering the hills in long, flowing robes. She spent her days meditating near ancient ruins, chanting in languages unknown to the locals, and writing long, cryptic letters. For a few months, her life on the island was peaceful, an idyllic escape from the bustling streets of London. But as the bright summer days faded into the bleak, bone-chilling cold of November, a dark shadow fell over Netta's mind. The atmosphere on the island changed dramatically as winter approached, and with it, Netta's behavior took a terrifying turn. On the morning of Sunday, November 17th, she woke up in a state of absolute, unadulterated panic. She frantically packed her bags, telling her landlady, Mrs. McCrae, that she had to leave the island immediately. Netta claimed that her life was in mortal danger, warning that certain individuals were attacking her telepathically from London. She spoke of terrifying psychic battles fought in the astral plane while she slept, leaving her physically exhausted. However, leaving Iona on a Sunday in 1929 was an impossible task due to strict religious observances. No boats were allowed to sail, leaving Netta trapped on the island she now believed was her prison. Resigned to her fate, she unpacked some of her things, but her terror only seemed to grow as darkness enveloped the island. Sometime during the freezing night, while the rest of the village slept, Netta slipped out of the cottage into the howling wind. She wore only a thin black kirtle and her heavy dark cloak, completely unprepared for the brutal winter storm raging outside. When Mrs. McCrae discovered her empty room the next morning, a sense of dread washed over the small community. Search parties were quickly organized, scouring the treacherous, rocky terrain of the island under a gray, unforgiving sky. For 2 agonizing days, they found absolutely nothing, as if the earth itself had swallowed her whole. Finally, on the afternoon of Tuesday, November 19th, 2 local crofters spotted something dark on a remote hillside called Creegaddick. As they approached, they realized they had found a missing woman, But the scene before them was beyond comprehension. Netta lay dead in the heather, her body arranged in a highly ritualistic posture that suggested a deliberate act. The official police investigation was launched immediately, but the local authorities seemed eager to sweep the bizarre details under the rug. The medical examiner concluded that she had died of exposure to the cold, combined with sudden heart failure. Yet, this official narrative failed to explain the chilling physical evidence left behind on that lonely Scottish hill. It is the strange, unexplained details of the crime scene that continue to haunt researchers to this very day. Netta's body was found resting upon a large cross, which had been physically cut into the turf with a knife. Beside her lay a silver dagger, a ceremonial tool commonly used in Golden Dawn rituals to banish negative spirits. Even more unsettling were the physical marks on her body, which defied the typical characteristics of hypothermia. Her hands and arms were covered in deep, jagged scratches, as if she had been desperately defending herself from an attacker. Strangely, the soles of her feet were completely blackened, a detail that was never fully explained in the autopsy report. Her shoes were found nearby, neatly placed together, meaning she had been walking barefoot over the sharp, frozen rocks. Furthermore, her expensive wristwatch had stopped at exactly 10 past 10, a silent witness to her final moment of life. Locals also reported seeing strange, glowing lights hovering over the hillside on the night of her disappearance. Rumors began to circulate in the press that Netta had been the victim of a sinister occult conspiracy. Journalists flocked to the island, eager to print sensational stories about pagan rituals, curses, and demonic forces. Some newspapers claimed that her letters, which she had mailed just days before her death, had vanished from the mailbags. These letters reportedly contained desperate pleas for help, detailing the names of those she believed were hunting her. The police refused to investigate these claims, choosing instead to stick to their simple, uncontroversial theory of accidental death. But for those who knew Netta, and for the locals who found her, the official explanation felt like a cover-up. They could not ignore the raw terror that had driven her into the night, nor the ritualistic precision of her final resting place. The mystery of the cross, the dagger, and the black marks remained an open wound on the history of Iona. Imagine standing on that windy hill, looking down at a hand-carved cross in the dirt, knowing a woman spent her final breaths preparing it. Was she trying to create a sacred barrier, a protective circle against an unseen enemy that was slowly closing in on her? Or was she performing a final, desperate ritual of self-defense, hoping the earth itself would shield her from a psychic predator? In the years following her death, two distinct lines of thought emerged to explain the tragedy of Netta Fornario. First, we must consider the rational, logical theories put forward by skeptics and modern investigators. This perspective suggests that Netta was suffering from a severe, untreated mental illness, likely exacerbated by her isolation on the island. Her belief in psychic attacks was a manifestation of deep schizophrenia or a paranoid delusion that progressively worsened. Under this theory, her flight into the freezing night was a panic response to a hallucination, leading to tragic hypothermia. The scratches on her body were caused by her stumbling through the rough, thorny heather in pitch darkness. As for the cross, she may have carved it herself in a state of delirium, seeking comfort in a familiar religious symbol. While this logical explanation is highly plausible, it struggles to account for the specific ceremonial nature of the scene. On the other hand, there are the supernatural and paranormal theories that refuse to die. Believers in the occult argue that Netta was indeed the victim of a highly sophisticated psychic murder. They suggest that powerful practitioners from her former secret society used astral projection to attack her mind from afar. Prominent occultists of the era, including Dion Fortune, wrote extensively about the case, suggesting Netta had crossed a dangerous line. According to this view, the black marks on her feet, and the stopwatch were physical symptoms of a devastating spiritual assault. They believe she carved the cross as a desperate, failed attempt to ground her life force against a lethal tide of negative energy. Today, the windswept hills of Iona keep their secrets tight, and the grave of Netta Fornario lies marked by a simple stone. The official record remains unchanged, but the chilling details of her final night continue to whisper to those who listen. Was she a victim of her own fracturing mind, or did she succumb to a dark, unseen force beyond our understanding? What do you think really happened to Netta Fornario on that cold, desolate Scottish hillside? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained.